Welcome to Acharya Shunya's Vedic Satsang. Acharya Shunya is a modern teacher of ancient, timeless, transformative wisdom from the Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita. Her teachings change lives, enabling happiness, well-being, and abundance. For seekers of the ultimate truth, these teachings offer realization of the sovereign self. Acharya Shunya is a Vedic wisdom holder of an ancient lineage who received her traditional training under her guru Baba Ayodhya Nath in Ayodhya, India. Baba tasked Acharya Shunya to bring these teachings to the world through her lineage school, Vedika Global. We welcome you to begin your journey of Vedic studentship with these monthly classes. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for ongoing study with Acharya Shunya.
To my global Vedic spiritual classroom. I have been teaching for a long time. I have been teaching to a select group of students, and I have taken them along in their consciousness, and they are all now helping me reach out to you. We are coming together as a family, as a lineage that goes back several thousand years in India, and now there are students worldwide that are benefiting from the lineage. What is a lineage? A lineage is an unbroken tradition of knowledge, an unbroken conviction that we deserve better lives, awakened lives, wholeful, joyful, and sovereign lives. A sovereign is not just a chain of human beings that we adore and worship just because we have nothing else to do. A lineage is made up of remarkable minds. A lineage consists of amazing souls that have dared to walk a pathless path, who've dared to even walk alone if they believed that something was truthful, it was their truth, and it was corroborated by the universe at some point. So I am really proud to belong to one such lineage and to have not only paternal grandfather, great-grandfather, father as caregivers of my body, but they were groomers and shapers of my mind, of my consciousness. And they led, ultimately, if I look at it, tremendously free lives, spontaneous lives. They wrote their own life script. And I thought they were, taking care of me, they were giving me knowledge, but what they were really role modeling to me was that we have been born not to lead a shackled life, enslaved by scripts, conditionings, and unexamined obligations to the society and to the world. We owe it to ourselves to connect with a sovereignty-generating tradition like the Vedas, and then look within and find the truth within ourselves so that we can be sovereign parents, sovereign caregivers, sovereign husbands, wives, partners, citizens of this planet and leaders of this planet. But if we are slaves to our own fears, slaves to our own wants, slaves to even our desires, then how can we write our script? I believe each one of you is here listening to me, talking to me, because you are looking to be how to be joyful, how to be whole, how to be ultimately free. And I want to tell you that you have come to the right place, not because of who I am, though I hope I can contribute to your inner growth and your journey in an authentic manner, but because I'm teaching you a wisdom known as the Vedic wisdom collectively from ancient India. And this is what it sets out to do: remind you of your sovereign birthright, remind you that you deserve to be free, amazing beings living a much more taller version of yourselves than you are living today. I tell you, every day I feel new. That's what my life has become. If some situation I handled like a week ago and I'm supposed to meet with people a week later to discuss it, I feel like, wait, my mind's like a sky. It's so vast. Whatever happened is just like this one tiny little cloud in a huge sky. And it's gone away, and instead what I have is all new, amazing insights and amazing ways of forging a path through the infinite now. So if you want to connect with what I'm feeling, If you can experience my inner pleasure to be alive beyond just the words I'm speaking, then stay on. If you are ready, then I want you to interact with me. And my student who's supporting me will tell me about that. Write to me a yes. Your yes means you are ready to be in an expansive state of consciousness. Tell me that. Write that to me. Also, I want you to know that the Vedic wisdom that I'm teaching you, the Vedas, which are considered the sacred books of the Hindus, is such an amazing wisdom that it belongs to the Hindus. Thank you to those seers, but it has gone way beyond the Hindus. You see, these esoteric teachings that are more than 10,000 years old, they enshrine truly timeless, universal, and if you ask me, even trans-universal wisdom. Because they dare to explore concepts like timelessness, limitlessness, infinity, immortality, universal intelligence, the concept of a collective mind along with an individual mind, transcendental states of consciousness that you can experience, and a trans-species oneness. We're not just the human family is not one family. All species are connected with the truth of consciousness. They talk about expanding and collapsing universes. They talk about the truth with a capital T, a nameless, formless truth, all pervading pure consciousness that precedes matter, life forms, universes, and even our gods. This wisdom, I have to say, is truly out of the box. And I'm going to share with you a few snapshots of my life. How this knowledge transformed me and transformed the spiritual students that I have. And from this you will know why I'm sitting here. And I'm going to be in this classroom month after month. It could be even week after week. If you tell me that this knowledge is working for you. If you join me in making sure that this knowledge comes to you, even every day, I'm going to make that happen. A teacher sits and waits to see, is her knowledge really going to be valued and respected and used? I'm not a vocational teacher. I just didn't decide I want to teach. Here, I didn't just tell my students, put together a live streaming channel for me, and I just, here's my dream to teach. I have too much going on. I have too much bliss in my life. I'm a busy woman, but I'm making the time because I've seen how much this knowledge has changed sorrowful minds. I have had students who were at the brink of suicide. I have had students who were addicted to substances. I've had students who were living way disempowered versions of themselves, and they have become leaders in society today. Then I want you to know that this knowledge is coming to you if you are listening to this class with me right now or in the future when you log on and find this class. Probably you are karmically destined to get the real deal. Not just knowledge that's going to make you feel good for a few moments. Not just here's a chant that's going to change your life. Not just here's a breath that's going to fix everything. Here is knowledge that's going to help you re-examine your own belief systems. And even as you listen to me, toss out what doesn't work for you. And once you've tossed out what doesn't work for you, you don't need to do anything more. In that beautiful, pure space of your consciousness, what is real, what is worthy, what is genuine is going to self-reveal itself to you. This is what I want to tell you. So here is my invitation to you. It is still not too late to become who you still might have been. When you were born, when you were young, go back to that moment. When you were maybe 1 year old, 2 years old, 1 day old, 1 moment old. You believed that the whole universe lived in your little palm. You knew you were the center of the universe, and the Vedas want to tell you, you are. The Vedas want to tell you that the whole universe is of a lower order of reality than you, who is the witness of that universe. When you witness the universe, it emerges. When you do not witness the universe, it disappears. If you give it something attention, it has some worth. If you remove your attention, it has lost worth. When you give something extra pandering to, it gains power. When you don't choose to give that power and look at it objectively, it loses power. It's all up to you. You are that powerful being you just forgot. And no matter what kind of difficult life circumstances you met until this moment, they were all perfectly designed to bring you to this moment, the Vedas want to tell you. The Vedas are too positive. They are too full of the excitement of telling you that actually this is not such a pathetic, miserable life that you think it is. It's only how you interpret it. So therefore, one thing that I want to tell you is that if you want to rediscover who you could have been, then the Vedic wisdom wants to tell you that you are not your body, which is a beautiful vessel for you. It takes you places. It fulfills your desires of a physical kind, sexual, food-based, other pleasures of the senses. At the same time, it has a tendency towards aging, decaying, and even ending one day. The mind too can get constrained quickly, worried quickly, fearful quickly. But at the same time, it's this very mind that can help you unlock the mysteries of the world. It can help you set clear boundaries. It can help you create wealth and abundance for yourself and for the whole society. Your mind can become a force of the good and a force of goodness in the world. So both body and mind have pros and cons, but they are both your instruments. Your body is a physical instrument and your mind is a subtle instrument. And you are separate from both of them. You are spirit. And spirit is known as consciousness or chetana or chaitanyam in Sanskrit. And this consciousness that you are, or this soul, is a bit different from the popular Judeo-Christian concept of soul. That is one concept. Let me explain to you the Vedic concept. You are beyond sin. You are beyond suffering. Fire cannot burn you. Water cannot drown that soul. Nothing sharp can pierce that soul. This soul is immortal. It just takes on new garments in the form of a new body and leaves them at will. But in itself, it is pure, unbounded existence. You are that soul. You are that self with a capital S that I like to say. And in Sanskrit, your name is Atman, which means the boundless one. Another name for you is Brahman, which means the infinite one. Another name for you is Purnam, which means self-fulfilled one. Self-fulfilled. Let the world come to me. Let the world go away from me. There is certain fullness that is mine. And the more you meditate upon that sweet fullness, the more full, complete you will feel from within. Another name for you is Sakshi, which means you are observing the changes in the body, the changes in the mind, the changes in the world. But you yourself, to note changes, there has to be an unchanging one. You are a pure witness. You are a pure observer. Therefore, everything that you observe is of a lower order of reality than you. You are, in fact, so powerful that you have been compared to the ultimate truth deep inside. The only catch is that because you have these two amazing instruments, the body and the mind, you feel like you are the body and mind. So therefore, any aches and pains in the body are your aches and pains, and any worries and stress in the mind or limitations are yours. But with Vedic wisdom, I help you create what is called as a word lesser known than yoga, which means union. First, you need viyoga, separation. Viyoga means separation, yoga means union. But before we go for yoga, first we need separation, viyoga, to know I have a body, I have a mind, but I am separate. I am all powerful. You are incarnate Atma Shakti. I am infinite. I am Ananta. I have bliss and happiness from within me. I am Ananda. You can say, what happiness? What happiness, Shunya, you're talking about? Of course. You really think cheesecake has that happiness? After the first couple of bites, do you feel the happiness? It's only when you connect with that cheesecake gives you happiness. Otherwise, it will make you nauseatic after you've had 4 or 5 cheesecakes. If you don't connect with something, no matter what's happening on television or media, and it's supposed to be making you happy, it won't make you happy. Any happiness is a choice from within that flows from deep within you through your mind and then spreads on your face. It doesn't come from outside. Otherwise, everybody would be with the same lover they had met 30 lifetimes ago. Everybody would be eating the same clothes. Everybody would be eating the same foods, wearing the same clothes, because, happiness came from that cloth. Happiness came from that lover. Happiness came from that cheesecake. We keep changing them because none of them have happiness to give us. But what Veda wants to tell you is, happiness lives inside you. Let's purify your mind. Let's convert your thoughts like a torch to go within. And let's find the happiness, the abundance, the wholeness, the deep presence inside you. This is serious, These are very deep conversations to be having. These are not just religious conversations. There is actually, Veda has 2 books, 2 aspects, 4 books. Well, Veda is infinite body of wisdom, currently compiled into 4 huge books, and they can be divided into 2 parts. The first part teaches you dharma, or how to lead a self-actualized life, and the latter part, known as the Upanishads, teaches you self-realization, how to know who you truly are. Where were you before you were in this body? Where will you go after you drop this body? What is your connection with the universe? Where is God? Outside you, everywhere, or inside you? These are very deep questions. And in my lineage, we focus also upon the dharma, which I keep teaching, and also upon moksha or self-realization, which is taught in the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, which is also an Upanishad, perhaps the most popular Upanishad from the Vedic tradition. So what can you do? What can you do to become the person you are meant to be? Self-satisfied, pleased, self-celebrating, clear boundaries. You don't have to be assertive or aggressive even. You're just walking through and your power is there. Whatever you do, whether you're a ballerina, whether you're a homemaker, whether you are a rap singer, whatever you are you that gorgeous spiritual being who is not restricted by the body and mind, but supported by the body and mind? Then it always begins with becoming a master of your own mind. The Vedic tradition was all about mastering the mind, because it's the mind which is the interface between you, the soul, self, or Atma, the boundless one, and the body. You are that mind is the interface. But what do we do? What happens to our mind? See, there is one thing that I want to point out to you. Try to be aware of something called cosmic greed in your mind. What is this cosmic greed? Sounds like a big word. I just made it up. In Sanskrit, it's called lobha. It's not a big deal. You know what it is? Because, remember, we forgot who we were. You forgot who you are. You remembered that when you were a tiny baby. That's why you could love the puppy, you could love the moon, you could love everything 100% and not feel like, do they love me back or not? Of course everything loves me. Of course I'm unconditional love, I'm unconditional joy, I'm unconditional happiness, you're unconditional health. You remember that briefly until society told you, wait till you grow up. Life's no fun, baby. Right? You forgot. So because you forgot, you started believing in the body and mind and their limitations. Here you were an unlimited being with an unlimited potential, and here you are believing in a limited story, a sad little script. You have your favorite characters of, how you became a victim, how you were betrayed, and you live in that life, don't you? Your mind believes in it, and your body says, I will hurt, and I will be sick, and I will be inflamed to prove it. And there you are leading this really what I call bound existence. You're a sovereign being, you're leading now a bound existence. And you create a false personality known as jiva in Sanskrit. Jiva means this isolated individual who's thinking, every morning I gotta fight, afternoon I gotta fight, night I gotta fight, and I'll even have dreams of fighting to prove my existence, my worth. This little jiva, what it does is, instead of knowing about its unlimited existence and connection with the divine, supreme universe, intelligent power, does not know any of this and only looks at the gaps in my life. And better believe it, this is a cosmic setup. Each one of us has one or two or a couple of critical gaps. Something that is missing. Either your partner will not be respecting you enough, or your father or mother may have betrayed you, one or both. You might have a certain bodily challenge, like a physical organ that is not working well for you, or, some financial issues might be there. There is some chasm, something that is there in the jiva's life. And the jiva, instead of going within to check for their inner wholeness, starts focusing on that emptiness. It's a tragic emptiness, and it builds and it builds. And from that grows what's called as a greed. I want my ducks lined up exactly how I want them. I want them to look like this woman in the magazine article has a perfect life. I want to look like the family that the pretend photos people share even on social media. I want to have a life, and it's a kind of greed. It's deep inside, and the jiva just focuses upon it. Do you do that too? That's the question. I've done it in the early years of my life. How else do you think I get to be your teacher? You think I get to be a teacher because I climb up a mountain, climb down a mountain, and then tell you that I meditated on top of it? I'm self-realized, and now I'm going to teach you? Don't believe all that. I get to teach you because I had to fight and have a war with my own cosmic greed. And my cosmic greed was to have a family where people don't die. All significant people in my family were dying. By the time I turned 30, 90% of my family dead. No intimate relationships. My jiva felt like, oh no, I'm so lonely, I'm so broken, and tried to find that kind of unconditional love that would come from a mother or a sibling, and it didn't. It was only illusions, deceptions, power games that came my way. I did not find the family I had lost. What I needed was to bring what I have termed cosmic dignity to that loss. I had to accept it. Only when we accept what we don't have does Lord open the door, does that supreme power. There is no Lord as in one humanoid God, but the supreme power opens the door to what I deserved. I was being prepared for a global family. I have so many intimate relationships with so many beautiful souls at the most beautiful vibrational level worldwide due to the work I do. Or I could have just sat there with my cosmic greed, still thinking I am broken, when really I had an unbroken essence within me, which could tell the jiva, it's all right. You got the mother enough years. 10 years is really great. She taught you how to be a mother in 10 years. A mother of the world she could teach you how to be. What more did you need? Did you need her even in your 11th year? Her work was done. But the cosmic greed, when we don't accept it, we create a story around it, and it creates then in us grief. This grief is pathological. This grief is not ordinary grief. Ordinary grief comes and passes through us and cleanses us, purifies us, changes us, blesses us. This grief is mixed with our greed. It makes us, the next thing is, it makes us so fearful of what more gaps we can have, what more losses we will have. It leads to lobha, leads to shoka, grief. Shoka leads to bhaya, fear. And with this greed and grief and fear, watch out, we become angry monsters. Like cookie monsters, we're anger monsters. We have krodha, we're angry. And this anger becomes all kinds of ill health in us. This anger makes us push away what could be coming our way. We could be becoming something that we were meant to become. By losing my biological family to death, to unexpected deaths even, I was being told, Shunya, extend your heart to the whole family, to the whole world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, this world is a family. You are so strong, you can be for others. You don't need others to be for you. What version, 0.1 version of yourself are you believing in when your laptop itself is in 0.10 version? My software is still stuck in 0.1 version of myself, my weak self. So I have beautiful memories of my mother, but I recently even removed every photo of her from my home. Why do I need it? Why do I need to create such a big story around my lost mother, my lost siblings? It's not needed. They came, they gifted my heart, they're gone. And why do I need to think I'll find a mother in a mother-in-law, in an aunt, in a friend, in an aging neighbor? Why can't they just be themselves? Why do they have to carry the cross of fulfilling my cosmic greed? Nobody has to do that. I can bring my cosmic dignity to it. Cosmic because I'm part of that cosmos. Your true soul is part of that cosmos. Don't forget. You are so powerful. You're just going to be shocked if you keep studying with me. That's the only side effect that you can check in with my students. You can write to our email department that can you handle the shock? Because if you are attached to your cosmic greed, stop, go away. Because I'm not a teacher who's going to let you stay there. This knowledge is not going to let you stay there. But you could trust your karma too, that if you are here listening to me, this is meant to be. If you're ready to bring in cosmic dignity to what holes you have in your life, you're going to heal them, fill them with cosmic dignity, then write yes. Write yes. Right? Yes for CD, cosmic dignity. Yes for CD. These should be your code words. Cosmic greed, cosmic dignity. These should be your code words. I had them. I had them. This anger then leads to all kinds of pretentious pride. We go around life pretending we don't have a problem or being, somehow sensitive and hurt, and all our situation is escalating with more egotism. It also leads to then all kinds of other things. We become jealous of other people who don't seem to have that gap. We cross-cut them, we don't like it, we feel more isolated, we become more attached to the things we do have, thinking that we might lose them. And then this great cosmic being that you are, Atma, the boundless one, Brahman, the infinite possibility to recreate yourself, you are just reduced to holding on to your favorite perfume and not telling your best friend you have it, in case she takes a little squirt. That's what you are reduced to. It's just an example. It's just an example. Your neighbor comes and asks you for your favorite platter because she's entertaining. You don't give it in case she breaks it. You've got attached to your little platter. This is what happens to the jiva, the false self. But the good news, it's false. Right now you can see through it, and what is false does not even need a heavy-duty vacuum cleaner. It needs your looking at. It needs your realizing, I know what happened. This is not personal. This is what, Jung talks about collective consciousness, but I hope you know he was studying the Upanishads and quoting the Bhagavad Gita many times. And Jung, the great psychologist, talked about collective consciousness from a concept from the Vedas called Maya. Maya is a collective unconsciousness that's affecting all human beings and all animals too. But in animals, their mind is such that they are content with being who they are. But we human beings are also self-aware, so we are caught up between being unconscious and wanting to be conscious. So when we are behaving in this manner, there's a part of you that's already dismayed. Is it true or not? Is it true or not? There's a part of you that is still semi-awake and connected to your true nature. Your own ego gets split into being half asleep and leading the script of cosmic greed, leading to grief, leading to fear, leading to anger, leading to pride, leading to more egotism, leading to more shamelessness, jealousy, more attachments, more craziness, more insanity, and imprisonment in your own mind. And then there is a part of you that says, let me browse the YouTube today so that I can find Acharya Shunya's teachings and set me free from my own prison, from my own self-created self-ignorance. There is a part of you that is wanting to take you home to your own infinite, expansive, vast potential to be truly peaceful. And I want to tell you that the Vedas will give you that. You don't need to change your religion. You don't need to shave your head. You don't need to change your diet. You just need to know and accept that you deserve more. I don't know, but I deserve more was a very important statement that I often thought about when I'm taking a shower, when I'm cutting vegetables. And this I deserve more, I didn't say to my partner, oh, I deserve more, so he'll take me out to a better dinner. I deserve more, so somebody would give me a better gift. I told my own jiva, we deserve more. We deserve a better life. The cherry blossom in my yard has a better life than I do. I want that life. I want even a greater life. I want to find a spiritual cherry blossom in me, and I found it. I was not always like this. That is why I am your teacher. The Vedas say that every future teacher will first undergo a stage of being bound and imprisoned through self-ignorance. They will fight it metaphorically. They will come through. And only when they come through can they then teach you that teaching. That is what makes somebody a teacher, because they can say, I've had those thoughts, I've gone through that sorrow, none of it is real. And your internal self and soul potential is blemishless. It is waiting for you. Your little bit turn inwards goes so far. The moment the jiva stops running towards the world with cosmic greed, closes his eyes and even repeats something like, I am enough, is probably enough. So let me ask you to do something. Let me teach you a little self-talk exercise. There are two kinds of meditation. There is the thoughtless meditation and there is a thoughtful meditation. This is the word I have given. We are all aware of the thoughtless meditation. This was made popular by a teacher known as Patanjali in about 2 BCE from India through his seminal work, the Yoga Sutras. And this book somehow caught the imagination of the Western teachers because it was a small, self-contained book. And it became most popular, much translated. And it has taught a kind of meditation where you sit and observe your thoughts. You don't give them attention, and gradually the quantity of the number of thoughts reduces. And the goal is that when you've perfected meditation, you will be in a zero thought stage, which is known as samadhi. And when you reach that zero thought stage, at that time there are no thoughts. And when there is no thoughts, as you know, mind is in between soul and body. So when there is no thoughts, the mind will be then revealing what lies beyond, which is Atma, or the self. And in his text, it is known as Purusha. Purusha is a Vedic word also, which means the spiritual reality will be there because there are no thoughts to cover it. It's completely logical and useful technique. Except that a lot of people are besotted by this technique, but not many people are able to be thoughtless. And even if you are beyond going deeper and deeper, the very thought that I'm feeling thirsty, I need to use the restroom is a thought. And then the thoughts start again. So I want to tell you, I want to use this global platform to tell you that this thought, making the mind thoughtless technique may be popular today, and every other yoga teacher in the West and nowadays in the East too is teaching it. It's viable, it is legitimate, but it is not the mainstream meditation technique taught in the Vedas. It was just one technique taught by one sage. Now let me tell you what is the technique taught by meditation in the Vedas by its more authoritative texts such as the Upanishads, which teach Vedanta, the highest philosophy of the non-dual self, and Bhagavad Gita, which is the most popular Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad. The teaching is a thoughtful meditation. The logic goes like this. Look, the mind is made up of thoughts. Why fight the thoughts? Why work on their quantity? Why not change their quality? Currently, thoughts are taking us towards cosmic greed, towards the world, to find our fulfillment, where we meet transience, we meet temporary solutions, and things end by disease, distance, or death. What if we changed our thoughts through self-knowledge that a Vedic teacher will provide us? And instead of continuing to go outwards, the thoughts realize that my God, besides my body and mind, I actually have an invisible entity, a subjective reality dwelling right inside me, which is the true power. And it is connected, it has high contacts up and everywhere. It is the divine reality. Now the thoughts become a torch, and the torchlight is shown inwards. So what the Vedas is saying is, change your thoughts to be internally facing and upward facing towards a higher reality and an inner reality rather than just the mundane reality. Right? Isn't that what our thoughts do? And if thoughts are so intelligently combing the outer world, they can be trained to comb the inner world. Let's just use the same thoughts. And that is what the Upanishads teach us. That is the Vedantic meditation. So I will never tell you not to think. I will never tell you not to think. And the beauty of this is that when you are thinking thoughts like, I'm a peaceful being, peace lives inside me, continuously, you will not go to your partner to say, you know what, I think we should have a peaceful day today. What can your partner deliver to you? It's up to you. You can have a peaceful day even if your partner has a cow. Yeah, I've learned some slangs along the way. I'm a teacher, I'm learning. If you think, I'm peaceful, peace is in me, peace is in me, peace. Your 40th thought, you connect with the peace. And then that peace, you can go to war being a peaceful warrior. That peace is not negotiable or reducible or destructible by somebody else having a meltdown. You're peaceful. You're peaceful. Because ultimate peace, ultimate love, ultimate trust, ultimate power, ultimate knowledge, ultimate indestructibility, ultimate rejuvenation ability, ultimate health, it's all there inside you. So we use the thoughts. These thoughts are not ordinary thoughts. Nobody sits around and says, I am peace. Who says it? Most people think, lock this person up, they don't know anything. They say peace is created by 5 people figuring out not to fight with each other. That is peace. But the Upanishad said, no, world outside is changeable, let it do its thing. You are peace. You can choose what part of you you want to connect with and be in this world. Right, I am peace, if you believe me. Yeah. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. What you believe, you become. So I am going to lead you now through a thoughtful meditation exercise. Many of you may be hearing me for the very first time. How does it matter? Even that's a story of the jiva. Oh, I need more time. I need more clinical evidence. How about you just jump in and truly, truly allow this to happen? If you are across the screen, if you're in the room with me, close your eyes and truly, what I'm about to take you through is for you because it's your truth. I am self. Not body, not mind. I am self. A divine spiritual being. I have no body. My intelligence is the intelligence of this whole universe. I am not restricted to my one mind. Inwardly, you are accepting this as your truth. I am a peaceful being. Peace is my true nature. I am a loving being. Love just flows from me and flows from me. It's my true nature. I am a healthy being. Every time I turn in, health comes out to greet me. Any health I will ever achieve is coming from within. It's just intact, waiting for me. I am ultimate health. I am not a doer. The body and mind are doing. I am not an actor. Body and mind are conspiring to act in the world. I am not an experiencer. The mind is experiencing the slights and arrows of life. I am a mere detached witness. Deep down, I have no preferences, no desires. I am complete right now. I am in peace right now. I am in a state of complete acceptance, which is love, right now. I am touching my inner health right now. I am feeling profoundly powerful right now. And when I open with my eyes, this wholeness, this power, this peace, I will remember and offer to my tiny jiva, my little self. So it cannot operate anymore as a beggar in the world, but as a royal being. I am self. I am Atman, the boundless one. I am Brahman, the infinite one. I am Shantam, the peaceful one. I am Purnam, the complete one. I am Nityam, the immortal one. I am. Simply I am. I need not be I am this, I am that. I am, I am, I am. Remember when you were a child, you thought of yourself as the loving, healthy, indestructible being. This is your deepest memory, and you have used your thoughts to touch and toggle with an invisible entity. It's actually an entity, and this entity lives in every being. So you share this entity in common with me and everyone, even your enemy. And I will teach you secrets down the road of how you can even change the enemy's mind by connecting with your own self. The one who connects within connects with all beings, all creatures in every loka, not just the planet. This is the profound, deep, mystical teachings of the Vedas on the nature of consciousness that cannot be limited by a body and mind, though it chooses to express itself through a specific body and mind, just like electricity is everywhere, and the end of a bulb is not the end of the electricity. It is for you to figure out if you want, your mind comes from that bulb consciousness and your self is electricity consciousness. When I was living my life from a bulb consciousness, then I had limited power. But now that I lead my same life from electricity consciousness, I have infinite power. And that infinite power doesn't make me a superwoman. It makes me a human being with infinite joy potential, wholeness potential. I don't have to demonstrate to you miracles to prove that I am divine. I'm a divine being and I know it, whether you ratify it or not, whether you approve it or not. I know who I am, and that is the biggest teaching that I can give you today. I want to tell you, it is still not too late to become who you could have been. This is not just about a spiritual change. You see, we are both spirit and embodied beings. The more you connect with your true self, the more you can come back into the world and play. The goal is not to become some whitewashed version of yourself and stop leading your worldly life. If, in fact, whichever dimension of existence you, the immortal self, will find yourself, you will know you're going to be having a lot of fun. That's the whole point. You're going to be having a lot more joy. You're going to be leading your work, whether, like I said, a ballerina, a pastry chef, a writer, a healer, a beekeeper. It doesn't matter. You're going to be coming from a whole infinite electric consciousness. But it all begins with understanding that I don't want to get flushed down the toilet of cosmic greed. There are going to be 3-4 areas in your life that are like that. That is the cosmic question mark, the cosmic sport, so to say. The one who can understand those gaps and meet them with cosmic dignity and self-knowledge and inner wholeness. Outer gap, inner wholeness. Outer brokenness, inner fullness and unbrokenness. Outer separation, inner completion. Then the life changes. People will want to meet you. They'll want to spend time with you. Who wants to hang out with people who just talk about their gaps? And even if you memorize to have nice conversations and tell funny jokes in society, who are you? If you walk into the door, everybody knows you. Everybody knows you are nothing but your gaps. You are nothing but your cosmic greed. A true teacher is one who may be working towards goals, but it is not coming from a cosmic greed. It is coming from a cosmic responsibility. It's coming from a cosmic recognition of your power to make a difference in other people's life who are cosmically sleepwalking. You might be hearing this word cosmic, cosmic, cosmic a lot. Guess what? I'm a cosmic being, so I'm going to talk about cosmic stuff to you. You really think I'm going to sit around and tell you, my neighbor, I wish they wouldn't hang their clothes out there, and I really wish, my auntie would cook more sweets for me rather than salty food. You really think I'm going to spend my life having these conversations? You really think I want to gossip? You really think I want to sit and talk about other people who are going down their drains of cosmic greed? Why would I? I have work to do. I am self. I'm a peaceful being. I'm a loving being. I'm a trusting being. I'm a healthy being. I'm a rejuvenating being. I'm a powerful being, an immortal, indestructible witness. I'm going to go inwards and have a party right here. Then I can come out and be an agent of change for you. So why not you do the roles in the world that you need to do, but with a greater finesse? Then you will not have stress. So we feel stressed, then we go and try and meditate and be empty in the mind. We get 10-minute break. But we come back to the same world and our core belief systems have not changed. If the jiva goes on meditating, trying to counteract its, mind by emptying it out of its thoughts, beyond a point it's not going to help you. Until this jiva realizes, I don't even have an existence. My bulbhood is inconsequential because my electricity hood is what I need to focus upon. And when that same bulb goes to work as a typing clerk, it will no longer feel anonymous. It will no longer not have a voice to speak up. It will no longer have an inability to ask for a promotion because that typing clerk, which had thought I was a bulb, couldn't do that. But the typing clerk who knows I'm the electricity of this whole universe will walk in and probably get a spontaneous promotion. You don't have to build your resume. Your whole life will change. And I can tell you from my own experience that when I was operating in the world from a bulb consciousness, I knew Ayurveda, I knew Yoga Sutras, I knew the philosophies, I knew the Upanishads. But that's all. A bulb, very enlightened, namaste, namaste, thank you. Just a bulb. You don't need to know, you don't need to fill yourself with intellectual knowledge. One verse from the Upanishads that woke me up and it became my conviction. Beyond knowledge, beyond words, it became my emotional conviction. I'm not a bulb. I'm not a bulb. I'm an electric power and that's also infinite. It changed everything for me. It changed my whole existence. My language changed. My writing abilities changed. My teaching changed. My difficult relationships changed. I didn't have to say anything. So therefore, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? If you are waiting for the right knowledge, it's here. Upanishads are invested in, the seers of the Upanishads are invested in remaining free and sharing the knowledge that makes you a sovereign being. The essential question then is, are you bound? Is your mind bound through its false relationships with objects and people? False as in thinking that that is where you will get your completion. Or is it sovereign, knowing that my completion, my sense of fullness, my happiness is up to me? Yes, I meet my family for drinks. That's different, right? That's logistical. Yes, we are going to meet over Christmas. Yes, every night when my partner comes home, we love our kitty or our dog together. We watch some Netflix and, probably, whatever we do. And then this is our life. And because we are together and because I'm learning self-knowledge, I also know that this person is suffering from the afflictions of their own jiva. They may or may not have a teacher to understand so that the self can take care of the jiva. The true self can take care of the false self. They are going through their own journey. Let me not get caught up in them. That's the beginning of codependence. Let me remain independent. Let me look at myself. Let me look at my life. Then alone, your talents, your skills, your speech, your health, your serenity, your compassion, your internal blossoms will begin blossoming. You see, for animals, which are also living beings, they also have the same self. For animals, biological survival is a goal. For us humans now, mental survival is a goal, but there are three kinds of humans. You can be just leading mechanical lives and believe in all the goals the world has told you. You must get a job by this age, you must get married by this age, you must have a child, and you must have a house with a white picket fence, and you must do this and you must do this. That's a very mechanical rote life. And if you want to live there, you will survive, But a part of you, the part of you that still remembers that you deserve a sovereign, blissful, out-of-the-box, electric existence, is not going to leave you happy. You can sit there in your White House and feel miserable, take some Prozac, and yeah, at least you're surviving. Good for you. Send a support card, still surviving. Hey Shunya, still surviving. Hey Shunya, still here 20 years later, surviving away. Good luck for you, we'll pray for you. Okay. Then there is the other lot, which goes all crazy. And this other lot says, I don't want to survive, I want to thrive. But their thriving is like, again, scripted. It means more money, more fame, more name, more love, more sex, more beauty, a couple of, extra clothes, this, that. And they're like, they don't want just one white picket fence. They want to put a fence around the world and have more power. It's egotistic power. And this group, they're too busy to send a postcard, but at the same time, they are very lost. One is lost in darkness, and one is lost in the halogen lights of the discotheque of this world. There's the third kind, which says, sure, I like my white picket fence house. Yep, I'd like a promotion too. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, I would like some nice coats and a couple of necklaces. No problem. But after all that is done, I would like to know also that I am enough. I am enough. Because I found that coat, after the 10 minutes of buying it, maybe once or twice wearing it, is sitting in my closet, but it's not really making me happy. That big house, it's just work cleaning it. Besides, my friend bought even a bigger house, so now I feel small. I've seen it. I've seen the limits of expanding my shadow outside. It still remains a shadow. You can make a shadow really big. It's still a shadow. You can make the jiva aggrandize. It's still a shadow. Then some people turn in and they come to Vedic wisdom and they say, tell me about me. You said that it's still time left to be who could I have been? And then I'd say, oh, you mean you really want to be happy? You want to find your inner coat, inner necklace, inner house? Come. So this is known as Atma Jnanam, the knowledge of the ever-fulfilled, radically whole, ever-abundant, powerful and eternally sovereign self. And that knowledge is taught throughout the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras. Just in case some of you felt that the thoughtless meditation is wrong, let me tell you, no teacher in the Veda is wrong. What Patanjali was teaching was very advanced meditation that very advanced people can still explore. But for the rest of us, and I feel I'm part of the rest of us, with ordinary mundane lives, we need the thoughtful meditation that also helps. The thoughtless meditation can also be experimented upon, but it need not be the only way to meditate. Because many people ask this question, wait, why are you giving us thoughts? We should be idly thoughtless. That's why I gave you the whole explanation that just because one text from the Veda became very famous doesn't mean it's the only teaching. There's much deeper and fuller teachings, and this is also a very valid path. Now I just want to say that we are going to head towards deeper teaching from one of the Vedic texts, one of the most famous Vedic texts, the Bhagavad Gita. So we're going to take a break here to readjust a few things. So if you are interested in continuing to learn about your true self, your sovereign self, then stay on. In the meantime, in the comments section in the YouTube, go ahead and write your comments so that my students who are helping all this happen, we have volunteers in my wisdom school who are making all this happen, can then tell me all about your engagement. I'm a teacher who loves to engage with students, so you write me your questions, write me your comments, and if nothing else, write a yes and make a goofy face. Goofy face works. That might be the face of yourself, the goofy self, the playful, crazy, Mad Hatter self is way better than the sorted, perfected, I must not have anything wrong kind of self. That's like so not needed. See you back in a few moments.
Welcome to Acharya Shunya's teachings on the Bhagavad Gita. The most renowned of all ancient Vedic texts, the Bhagavad Gita's 700 verses have spread far beyond the borders of India to influence key world figures, including Carl Jung, Albert Einstein, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Mahatma Gandhi, and Dr. Albert Schweitzer, to name a few. And now, with Acharya Shunya, who has grown up with the Gita in her lineage and lives its divine message in her daily life, you too had the opportunity to apply its incredible wisdom to enjoy both material and spiritual success. You can also join a live verse-by-verse text study of the Gita by signing up at www.vedicaglobal.org. And now, welcome Acharya Shunya.
Welcome back. The Bhagavad Gita is an ancient Vedic text of about 700 verses. It's probably a 5,000-year-old text. But this text is very alive. It is even taught in universities across the world. It is, teachings are taught in management institutes and higher education, and leadership potential is sought from the Bhagavad Gita. And every time I talk about the Bhagavad Gita, I would like to share probably some comments from some of the well-known leaders of this world in different fields. So, for example, Albert Einstein, who regularly read the Bhagavad Gita, said, "When I read the Bhagavad Gita, everything else seems so superfluous." So once again, the Bhagavad Gita is an Upanishad. An Upanishad is a later section of the Vedic text known as Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. The first part of the Veda is known as Samhita section, which teaches dharma and self-actualization and how to lead a successful, happy, worldly life. And the later part of the section known as Upanishads, of which Bhagavad Gita is one of the Upanishads, teaches us all about our spiritual potential and answers us deeper questions as to what about our life beyond this one story, and how can we take our own destiny in our hands. So it's the creme de la creme section of the Vedic text. So Bhagavad Gita is the solace to my heart. It is the mother that I could not replace in any other human being. It is the teachings of the first teacher of yoga, who is Krishna. Krishna was a king, a householder, a married gentleman with children, king of Mathura, and he teaches the gospel, the truth of Bhagavad Gita to another soldier known as Arjuna. Arjuna was having a hard time going to war. He had won many wars, many battles prior. He was very famous for his valor and his strength and his invincibility. But clearly he was not invincible, because that was all that time it was his shadow self or his jiva or his ego going to war and coming back. Because when this ego was confronted this time with the war imminent in front of him, he had what's called as a panic attack, because he was confronted with two people in the opposite army, his personal grandfather and his archery teacher, who he was very attached to, standing in the ranks in the opposite army, and he knew that they might get killed through him or his men. And he didn't want that, and all kinds of, emotional attachment came up. So that's when Arjuna teaches him that this whole life is a war. This whole life is full of question marks, to be or not to be, as in Hamlet, in Shakespearean line. How should we move forward? What is dharma? What is the right thing? Is not going to war the right thing at this time, so that he can give those two people his one heart is attached to a lease of life, even if they are supporting non-dharma or non-ethical things? Or should he go to war knowing that, yes, we might have some losses when we stand up for truth, when we stand up for what is dharma, when we stand up for the greater good of a greater number of people? There might be a few personal losses. You might bleed a little bit, but that is what is needed for the truth to shine. So it's wrong if you think that Bhagavad Gita is teaching you to go to war. The thing is, you are in a war. Even the sperms have to go to war before you are created. There is war everywhere. All right? So war is everywhere, whether in stock rooms, whether in boardrooms, whether in policy rooms, whether in our assembly, whether in our elections, whether in your own home there is war. Family to another family wars, and within the family they have wars. War is the situation. So it was a very good metaphorical background for this teaching, because Bhagavad Gita is teaching us, reminding us how to live in this world and go to war as a holy warrior, as a peaceful warrior, as a righteous warrior, as a knowledgeable warrior. And he taught Arjuna all about the teachings that I'm also sharing with you, so that Arjuna's jiva, or his ego, could go to war. His body could lift the bow and arrow, and his mind could make a target and shoot, but he would never forget that he's a very intelligent, spiritually powerful, eternal being. In simple terms, it's not just a bulb that is lighting up the darkness of the world. I may be operating from a bulb, but I am the infinite electric potential of this whole supreme universe. So when we know that, so we are still operating from our unitary body and mind, which are fragile, but our consciousness becomes so expanded. And that was the purpose of the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna is the teacher, Lord Krishna we call him, because he was, through this gospel, recognized as a human avatar of the divine reality, which is nameless and fameless, and occasionally it would manifest through a guru, a teacher, and he became what is known as Jagat Guru, or a guru to the world, because he teaches us the wisdom that connects us back to our own truth. And the beauty of this teaching from the Bhagavad Gita is that we get to learn things like, who am I? Why do I suffer? Why am I never fulfilled? What am I made up of? Matter, mind, or consciousness? What existed before the Big Bang occurred? Who existed before the so-called creator existed? Just like fascinating teachings, over 700 verses, fascinating teachings. And I love it that the student had a panic attack to elicit the teachings from the teacher, because prior to that he only knew Krishna as his friend, or as an advisor, or as a friendly king from a neighboring kingdom, an ally in the war. He didn't really recognize Krishna as his future guru and the guru of this whole universe. But Arjuna had a panic attack. That sure made me feel good, because then you know that, okay, that's what happens when you're estranged from knowledge, and you do break down, but then you're not left alone. And when you ask those questions, that supreme power, that supreme intelligence will come to you through some human body, human voice, and awaken you. And that is what happened. So, it's a text over 18 chapters, and in the 6th chapter, I'm just jumping ahead, Krishna calls out to people like me and you, who just love philosophical teachings. We will, some people, when they see the newspaper, they'll go to the cartoon section. Some will go to the sports section. Some people will go to the astrology section. But when I was in India, we used to receive a newspaper in Hindi, our traditional language, and there was a section there which said, Atmajnanam, and some different people would, Atmajnanam with knowledge of self would be contributing to it. So my whole family would be kind of, reading that first. India could be bombed for who all we know, but we were reading Atmajnanam. We were like, oh, really? India got bombed? We didn't know. Oh, you mean we were attacked? Oh, we didn't know, because we are so into, that section. So the world today, I'm happy to report, is full of spiritual seekers who are like really focused on this. And these people, Bhagavad Gita gave a name. And these people, our community, it is called Yoga Rudas. Yoga Rudas means people who are just going. They're not going to stop. Yoga Ruda means really focused, really like the mindful community, the engaged community. So if you're a Yoga Ruda and you are living in the world, then there is a teaching that, Bhagavad Gita wants to give you, which is known as Karma Yoga. And this teaching says that, you could live in the world, do your actions or work in the world, but instead of feeling bound by obligations, expectations, disappointments, or rewards, they all bind us up. You can be actually a Yoga Ruda. You could be going along your own train towards self-actualization and self-realization. So if you're a seeker, you want to work strategically in the world. You want to act artistically in the world. You want to work with a certain know-how. You don't want to just, be a mom. You want to be a Yoga Ruda mom. You don't want to just be a CEO. You want to be a yogini CEO. Or you don't want to just be a film actor. You might want to be a yogi film actor. Do you see what I mean? Because then you are in the world, but you are not of the world. You are in the world, but you are not imprisoned by the world. You are in the world, having your fun, doing your roles, enjoying your barbecues, but at the same time, you are moving towards self-realization. So this how to do that is called Karma Yoga. Karma means actions. If you just do actions, you will have to bear their consequences, painful ones also, a lot of the times, and karma even is said to come back and get you in future lifetimes too. But if you bring the word yoga to it, then yoga here means a spiritual attitude. So you should now act +sign with a spiritual attitude. So what is that spiritual attitude? So there is a verse in chapter 2, which is considered like a marma, or a very beautiful contained description of this attitude, the yoga that you can bring in your worldly life when you're acting. So say one action could be that you are taking care of your aging mother or mother-in-law. That's an action. But if you bring yoga to it, you'll bring a new attitude when you take care of them. So the verse is, karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal heturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. This is a verse 47 in chapter 2. This is a beautiful verse because what it is saying is that you have a choice over your actions alone. So you have a choice over the action that you are taking care of your aging mother or mother-in-law. But you do not have control over the results. There's the results such as she will say thank you to you. Results such as the world will say what a good daughter or daughter-in-law you are. Results such as because of that the will come towards you. You do not have choice over the results. This is a cosmic law. My favorite word again, cosmic. We are cosmic beings. Cosmic laws affect us. We can remain unconscious of them if we want to, but if we are conscious of them, we work with the universe rather than against it. You have choice, or you have control, or you can use willpower over your actions alone. You do not have, you have some influence, but you don't have total influence over the results that will come back to you. Therefore, may you focus and in your actions, but not be motivated by the results of your action. So if you are taking care of your mother or mother-in-law, do it from where you are inwardly, from your wholeness, from your compassion, from your sense of duty, from cosmic duty, not from that she will say thank you to me, she will do this, because otherwise 5 days into taking care of the person, you would turn completely bitter or angry or disappointed, and a whole new story, another cosmic greed, a cosmic hole will develop for a cosmic greed leading to cosmic sorrow. So and then sometimes when we are not able to completely control the results of our actions, we also become fatalistic or disappointed, and then we go towards passivity or inaction. And Krishna says, or this Bhagavad Gita says, do not be disappointed of that either. So let me explain. You are free to choose your actions. Unlike animals, which are also living, beautiful beings, they do not have free will, unfortunately, very limited free will. We have a lot of free will. Like right now I am teaching you, I have free will to have slept well, to be feeling happy, to have eaten a wonderful, purifying breakfast, to be, just connected inwards and not holding secrets or grudges and just teaching you from my heart. And I'm in the now. I'm totally with every moment, with all my infinite electric consciousness. Through this bulb, I'm flowing towards you, using my free will, my complete signature passion, teaching, enthusiasm, laughter, wholeness. But if in this, even for 30 seconds, my consciousness, my bulb, my mind move towards the results. Psst, psst. How many people are listening to me? How many likes are happening? Is this happening? Is that happening? What's going to happen tomorrow? If all my energy goes there, can you see what will be? Just a limpless, pathetic bulb will be talking to you. Surrounded by 30 more bulbs trying to control the future like crazy. And the more we control the future, and the more stress we have, because there is no future. There is only the endless now. It's very smart teaching. Very smart teaching. Give your all. You are an actor in the now. You are a witness, but let your actor act in the now free. All your resources should go into painting that painting, not worrying about who will buy the painting. I wish my neighbor didn't know how to paint. I wish that other person didn't have a show in the gallery. Because all those thoughts will eat away at your own spiritual talent. When you cook your pot of food, you cook it. Don't think people will like it or not. Because then if you think, oh, she doesn't like sugar, they don't like wheat, they have allergies to peanut. If you're thinking about everything else, you can't cook your signature dish. You know what? My dish has peanuts. You go fix your allergies. I'm putting peanuts. This, if you want to be a spontaneous, amazing, infinite bulb connected to its infinite plug, you need to be only focused on your action. That does not mean that the results are completely out of your control. You are a contributing factor, but it is smart to understand from your teacher that look at life. You plant a seed, you can give it water, you can give it fertilizer, but the sun is not in your control. The rain is not in your control. The wind is not in your control. A neighboring tree can fall on it, it is not in your control, because that seed is a living being. It also has its karma to unfold. You put in 100 seeds of poppy, and you put them in, you laid them out. I just laid them out. One of my students bought me poppy seeds and showed me, we were having fun, how I'm going to plant the poppy seeds, and I did that. I do a lot of gardening. But out of those 100 poppy seeds, maybe 70 will come out. The 30 may come out after I am no longer here. So there is a greater cosmic management going on of all living beings. So to take ownership of every little piece is like battling your individual will with the total will. But if you do your part, when I was planting those seeds, I was in the sun, I was in the wind, I was touching the soil. I was getting the enjoyment in that moment. I didn't have to wait for those 100 plants to come out. I got a lot of joy right there and then. So you are a contributing factor, but for you to think that you will manage everything is just giving an invitation to your ego. And then your ego is set up for future disappointments or anxiety or waiting for results. And your whole time on the planet will be wasted. Don't you want to live a life of serenity, of depth, of contentment, of you having a great time when you were planting the seeds? And you being okay even if not a single flower came out, because you can say, the seeds need more rest. But if we don't have this karma yoga knowledge of what is in your jurisdiction and what is in the jurisdiction of the supreme power, then you are fighting with it. I'm a writer, and I'm writing my second book on these kind of teachings. In fact, my upcoming book, because I love freedom and teaching about the soul, so it is entitled Sovereign Mind, Sovereign Self. The way I wrote it and the way it finished, I thought it would be out in 1 year. It's taking 2.5 years to come out. So it will come out in September 2020. If I didn't have this knowledge, then my little jiva, my false bulk, can make it all about, oh no, things are not working for me. But actually, when you trust the total will, when I looked at it, I realized that, oh my God, this is so perfect. The total will wants to bring it at just the right time. Because I realized there were so many other things that I was also doing prior. I was awakening so many minds to be even ready to be sovereign. I'm awakening so many hearts to connect with their inner sovereignty. And then when a deeper teaching comes, it has more sense. Otherwise, you just bring it in and the soil has not been tilled. What's the point? So invariably, when there is delay, when there is obstruction, or when there is a complete no, the total will says, no, you're not getting this. You want a baby, you're not getting a baby this lifetime. You want to be married, it's not happening this time. You wanted a mommy figure in your life, Shunya, you're not getting a mommy. Even this, if you calm down, if you come from your bigger you, it has purpose. Maybe you've raised way too many babies. Maybe all you did was have babies in some other lifetime. Now it's time for you to maybe look at an orphanage, maybe take care of the world as a baby. There are so many things we don't know, but the universe is looking after its every blade of grass. It didn't forget you. You're not the stepchild of the universe. Except that the blade of grass doesn't argue back, doesn't make it about victimhood, doesn't pop antidepressants. It really trusts the universe. And Karma Yoga is saying, do your part. You have been shared free will by the universe. You have been shared free will by that supreme power, Brahman, which is infinite. Brahman, again, is not Brahmin, a caste. It's not a person. It's not an animal. It's not a humanoid god. It's a nameless, faceless, pure consciousness that's all-powerful, intelligent, all-pervading, spread in every particle of the universe, and it is supremely intelligent. It is guiding your life. Do your part and leave some things for the supreme will. But any action you do, for example, I am teaching today, and suppose, apart from the students who are sitting with me, supporting me in making this happen, nobody else was on YouTube listening. For example, I don't know how many are there, how many not at this point, but suppose they were not there. That doesn't mean my karma is wasted. Every karma planted from good intention in due time will give the results. That is what it is. So don't go up against cosmic time and cosmic will. Use your individual will and partner with total will and see how your mind is full of serenity and calmness and relaxation. And so, while my book was delayed on one end, one language of the bulb, my infinite electric consciousness says, oh my God, I got a chance to perfect it in its 7th version or 8th version. It is amazingly powerful. And you know, when I was writing these different versions of the text, I had such huge experiences. That book was meant to be my own teacher. You know, it was not just something I was writing and here, publish it, move it out. I can't explain to you. It was not an obstacle. It was not delayed. It was royally present in this universe. When big things are born, they take time. So suppose you are trying to launch yourself as an artist or as a healer or as a businesswoman, and it's taking time, and you are getting all fretted out by thinking about why it's not being launched. Come back and say, I'll leave that to that great supreme power. And what I will do is let me bring my entire presence into the now. What can I do? Can I improve the way I engage with my customers? Can I change the way my media face is looking? Can I look at employing a new person and training them in the way they represent me? There were so many things that you needed to do in the now that can now get your attention versus fretting about why something is not happening. So this is very beautiful. And the third teaching here in Karma Yoga is that if you are a yoga ruda, if you are somebody who's interested more in yoga, if you're more interested in the attitude, the spiritual attitude, then why not in every action you perform, whether it's taking care of your mother-in-law or mother, whether it's planting your poppy seeds, whether it is teaching a class, for global welfare with, deeper knowledge, why not enjoy that action, enjoy that experience, enjoy it. From a woman who used to be worried about outcomes controlling them, to a woman who's more an artist in the now. So I like that term. Let's become an artist in the now. Yes, yes. Let's invest in colors in the now. There's been a big change in me. My own partner, who I live with, my husband on a day-to-day basis says that, every day it's more joyful and peaceful. I love living with you. That's a very big compliment from a partner. When I go home to visit my own father, he says, my sister-in-law, your presence is so calm. And then I don't have to say, yeah, because, I'm channeling this goddess and that god. I can say that. How about I'm channeling my inner God? See, I'm not saying there's not this god or that god. I'm not putting down any version of God, because the Vedas says God can be outside, God can be everywhere, God can be inside. So that's okay. You can believe in any God wherever. All I'm saying is there is inner godliness in you too. Yourself, your Atma, the boundless one. So when your own loved ones who are seeing you, in your night clothes, they are seeing you making breakfast, eating it, and you are an artist in the now, it makes a big difference. There were marigold seeds that we had planted one time, and then it rained and rained and rained and rained, so none of the seeds really came out. But it looks like this year they are coming out. So they have their own timing, and that is the beautiful. Then another teaching, the fourth teaching is that if you're a yoga ruda, if you are interested in yoga, the union with your higher self, then why not use karma yoga, that right attitude, to always value your inner growth, your inner treasures, your inner learning more than your outer accomplishments. I can't have this conversation with worldly people. If I say to a worldly person whose only goal in life is to make more money, for who profit is the only bottom line, for who more money is the only reason. I know so many people who have wealth and they only want more wealth. There is nothing else to talk to them about. For such people, if I go and tell them, why not make your inner growth the most important thing in your life, they will, politely excuse themselves from my royal presence. but you will understand what I'm saying. In my own life, through the experiments with my outer work, my worldly life, I have throughout it made my inner garden more important. And through failures and successes of programs, projects, this, that, I have found that internally my consciousness has grown in leaps and bounds. Whereas we get so controlled around outside and we come sitting broken and saying, oh Shunya, everything is failing, this is not working, that's not working, corporate life is so stressful, traffic is so terrible, children, teenagers don't understand. Yes, transience, impermanence, disease, deception, decay, depression, these are just the D words. Despots, dismembered people, everything is there. But everything wonderful is in here. And when you connect here and then come back, the traffic is no problem time for you to chant mantras. Teenagers, oh, they're just having fun with their own inner bulb and electric experiences. Corporate world, oh, a couple of sleepwalking people, they need me to walk in awake. See, everything feels small when you're connected inwards. It doesn't feel like everything is big, you're small. It feels like everything is small, you're big. That's how I feel now. So can you make inner growth? Write it. Write, when you take notes from my class, you should write pledges for yourself. Don't write theoretical PhD notes, please. Don't become one of those pundits who memorize everything and speak it. Don't live it. Write this note to yourself. My inner growth is more important even if my outer life is falling apart. How I handle it, how I let that outer life falling apart, leave it to the total will. Maybe everything is falling apart in my life. Every relationship is showing its ugly face. Every situation is showing how unstable everything is for me to find my inner stability. I've gone through such periods of my life. Those are the dark night of the bulb and the bright morning of the soul. That is the time when you realize you have nothing for you. You're up against the wall. There is even your best friend has betrayed you. Your partner has not supported you. Probably money has fallen. At that time, you close your eyes or you come to a teacher like me who's electric and you awaken to your own inner electricity. So write this. This journey through this world is not about external accomplishments, for God's sake. I don't know how many externally accomplished people have committed suicide. I don't know how many of them take antidepressants and, antipsychotic pills. I don't know how many of them are dealing with lawsuits. This is now all about the internal life and me using this knowledge so that I can have a much more peaceful life. Inner growth is always in your hands. So when we say, Mate Sangostha Karmani, in that old verse that I chanted, it says that yes, and when I face my failures, I will make sure that I don't become fatalistic, making it all about me, blaming myself. I understand I have a partner. That partner knows more closely than my parent would watch me because lives right inside me. The Supreme lives inside me and has seen how much I'm deserving, how much I am worthy. And probably at the right time, unexpectedly, the right rewards will come to me. See, this is what it is. Then you never lose faith in yourself. You never lose it. But if you make it all about that, then it will not help you. Now, why does the Bhagavad Gita doesn't want us to become inactive and continue to do our worldly roles? Because there is a time to be active, there is a time to be less active, more extroverted, more introverted. And we learn from both. So, there is the householder stage of life where you are, doing things like taking care of your aging mother or mother-in-law. And then there is the more withdrawn stage of life known as Vanaprastha and Sannyasa Ashrama, where you might probably, be more inwards and meditating, etc., more than, driving to your mother-in-law's home or something. And so one path, the more engaged part, is known as pravritti in Sanskrit, and the more introverted path to self is known as nivritti. However, the Bhagavad Gita is very clear that you cannot skip the active part, and that the initial stage of spiritual growth, which may last a couple of lifetimes even, has to happen in the world as a being. Engage in actions. Then don't just do karma. Don't just show up to your mother-in-law and say, yep, I'll bake you a cake. And then you put in all your resentment baking that cake. Do it from karma yoga. I'm doing it because the self in me and the self in my mother-in-law is the same, even though she's such a critical and, person. She's aging. I'm grateful to her because she gave birth to my partner. I have a chance to serve an old person. I'm totally in the now. It doesn't matter if she says thank you to me or not. I'm putting in my conscious ingredients, not just the ingredients, but my conscious self into this cake. So when you've baked that cake, you've already got your rewards. You've had such tremendous inner growth. And the inner growth is that in that moment, you have become bigger than your cosmic whole of having a mother-in-law who doesn't appreciate you. You have transcended the need for her to appreciate you. You have connected with your inner humaneness, your inner potential, your inner perfection, your inner compassion, and your inner knowledge that you are way bigger than this bulb needing the hello, how are you, thank you so much from another bulb. You've gone beyond it. And so therefore, the first stage of life is an active stage of life, and only the second stage of consciousness can be more withdrawal. And so Bhagavad Gita and the great Vedic tradition does not suggest like you grow up and you suddenly become a monk just because you signed up for, renunciation and you wore some clothes, but you were like, you didn't really, relate with the world. You didn't, because it's really when you're baking that cake for someone who your bulb thinks doesn't deserve a cake, is where you will come face to face with your cosmic grief, your cosmic greed, your cosmic anger, your cosmic, cosmic shadows. And that is where you will decide, why am I baking the cake? Am I baking the cake to please my mother-in-law? Am I baking the cake to get some approval from my partner? Am I baking the cake because I don't dare say I don't want to bake the cake? Or am I baking the cake because this cake recommends the light that I am, which is infinite? What's the cake you're feeding your mother-in-law? That's the question today. Your no should have inner light. Your yes should have inner light. Your silence should represent your light. Your voice should represent your light. Because you are not just your body and mind caught up in a web of obligations, relationships, darkness, and shadows. Dare to roar and rise above the dint and dint of smaller voices. Be who you are. Don't bake that darn cake if it's coming from your ego. Don't. Then your no is more authentic than the cake. And if you have gone beyond that no, and that cake represents your yes, then bake that cake. Have the cake and enjoy it too. Let's just say that. So I want to say that in this teaching, right after that, in another verse, in verse 48, then the teacher, the difference between a preacher and a teacher is, a preacher will just tell you one verse and walk off. A teacher will go on explaining, because the teacher knows I'm talking to a bulb that has believed I'm a bulb for a long time, when it's not really a bulb, but this electricity believes I'm a bulb. So it'll give a lot of persuasions, So with a lot of my teachers, students, I keep coming back to them with different persuasions and arguments. So then in the next verse, Krishna says, Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Sangam here means, Sangam is a Sanskrit word which means union, but here it means attachment. Give up the attachments, O Arjuna. Give them up, because your attachments, because he was saying that focus on your actions, don't focus on the results of the actions. Why do we focus on the results of the actions? For attachments. Will it bring fame? Will it bring name? Will it bring recognition? Will it convince my little bulb that I'm a nice bulb? Will it convince me? So we are so dependent on the outer world to meet our greed hole, right? So give up that attachment. Sangam tyaktva, give it up. And then Dhananjaya, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, the teacher calls a student by different names. My son's name is Dhruva. And when I meant business, I would say, Dhruva Mathur, you come listen to me. And when I felt like, spoiling him, I would say, Dhruvi Vuvi, come listen to me. So I hope he's not listening to it, because he's a 24-year-old refined gentleman, very much aware of his electric capacities. But, I had different names for him. So in the same way, this teacher has different names for Arjuna. And the name he's calling Arjuna, he didn't say Arjuna, he said Dhananjaya, which means, Dhananjaya means one who has been victorious in the past of accumulating all kinds of wealth and riches, because, he was a king and a valorous prince, and he's a Dhananjaya, he has accumulated a lot of wealth. So now it's a little teaching to say, stop going for those material strokes. If they are why you are interacting with, doing what you're doing, and you're always worrying about that, then you will go for a handful of treasures outside, but you will miss the infinite treasure inside. So, you do what you have to do it right, but then let it go. So he says, and let go of those kind of attachments. Now, attachment doesn't mean you should not be wealthy, or you should not earn a profit, or you should not have a beautiful house. Attachment means where it has a control over you, where it is controlling you completely, and you are leaning, your psychological sovereignty is compromised because of your attachment. Because, for example, I remember meeting somebody who had started a business, and they were so attached to the every quarter's profit. And they were so attached to it that they were nervous. They couldn't eat, they couldn't sleep. They had lost fun in, starting their company. So I said, you know what? This is attachment. This is not just a responsible CFO or a CEO worrying about, right concerns around, have I structured my company right? Have I got the right amount of legal advisors? Have I studied my market correctly? Do I need to make any changes? That's intelligent, objective behavior. But attachment is when you're dreaming about it, when you're worrying about it, and you just don't want to fail. Maybe you need to fail a couple of times before the real success comes in. Maybe what you call as failure was just classrooms to take you to where you are going. So, this is just attachment. Attachment in Sanskrit is called raga. It's a very sticky situation here, And then he says that what will be the benefit of this karma yoga attitude, karma plus yoga, karma is right actions, yoga is right attitude. What will be the benefit? And a definition of yoga comes up, which is samatvam yoga uchyate. So when we studied Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, who talks about the mind being, free of the modifications of the thoughts, the most famous definition of yoga that the world knows, or yoga teachers know and are very familiar with, is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga, or the union, happens between the false self or the mind self and the true self, is when the mind becomes free of the modifications, right? That's the most well-known one. But because we are not able to make our mind empty of the thought waves, we're still waiting to have that connection with our true self. But look at this much more realistic, much more attainable in a moment-to-moment sense of yoga. And it says, when you become equanimous, it doesn't mean you become numb. It just means when you become relatively equanimous, whether the results are coming back in the form of success or failure, you're relatively okay. Why? Because your big partner, the total will, the supreme intelligence, got it. It has been registered in the universe as akasha, or consciousness. You are an eternal being, and this story or another, or in a decade or so, all those wonderful seeds you've planted are going to come back to you as a bouquet of delight. You're successful because you used your now and you became an artist of your canvas in the moment. Then you see you're equanimous. Tika, yes, the book is delayed, that's right. Yes, this program, we created curriculum, it didn't float. The curriculum is now ready. Maybe it's meant to float in a different era, a different building, a different process. So you've done your work. So you have equanimity. And when you have equanimity, you have immediate union with what? One, immediate sense, some peace of mind. Your mind becomes peaceful. And in that peace, what is the peace coming from? From your soul. You remain creative for your next moment. Creativity is coming. Originality is coming. Playfulness is coming. Health is coming. You're not having headaches and BP and frequent urination and this and that and cat itchiness and twitching of, I don't know what's that called, twitching muscles or things because of stress. But you have equanimity. And in that equanimity, you achieve yoga, union with your greater potential. And of course, if you continue studying self-knowledge, then the next benefit is chitta shuddhi, or your mind becomes very pure. The waves are not huge, they're very calm waves. And then when you meet a teacher, a Vedic teacher, and that teacher says, Tat Tvamasi, you are that amazing Brahman, Atman, that infinite force of this universe, you have no doubt, and you become that. What you hear, what you believe, you become that. And you walk out of your teacher's presence much taller, much bigger, much expanded, a vast awareness. With this, let me come back to you so that I can take up your questions and answer a few. The difference between a religious tradition and a spiritual tradition is the following. In a religious tradition, you must have faith, but you cannot ask questions. In a knowledge-based spiritual tradition, you must cultivate faith when your teacher can answer your questions. That is why the Vedic tradition's central teaching methodology is not a monologue, but actually a question and answer. That is why the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Vedas, they are all based upon a question and an answer. Even Ayurveda texts, yoga texts, they are based on question and answer methodology. The deepest, the core sources at least are based on Q&A. And the question and answer tradition between the teacher known as Guru and the student known as Shishya was known as Guru Shishya Sambada, a dialogue. It's a mindful dialogue. It is not a dialogue based on talking about lower things that the two bulbs of the teacher and student are engaging in, but really it is the bulb of the student knowing that, trying to understand I'm not a bulb, engaging with the electric consciousness of the teacher and asking that question so that a transmission can take place. And this, any teacher who says, I'm not available to answer your questions, I will not answer your questions, or you don't have enough faith and that's why you're asking questions, is clearly not a traditional teacher. So we will begin the Q&A now.
Thank you. One student asked earlier, someday I would love to learn about how to connect to self when others are suffering, how not to be swallowed by constantly worrying about others' struggles. And I think that's something a lot of us probably in today's world are feeling.
So when we have first to change this paradigm, we have to be with a teacher. The knowledge that I have given you is a lot of knowledge. If you contemplate on it every day, you could even transcribe my lecture word by word by word. That's a kind of a contemplation practice. You can hear it back and forth every day, like a repeat. So you're hearing it, you're writing it, you're contemplating in it. What does it mean? What does it mean? Gradually, over some time, it takes time, it's not quick. As you become less of a bulb, you will worry less about the bulbs. Actually, it's the bulb that gets caught up by other people's sorrow and fretting because it doesn't know the good news itself. And when other people are suffering, it privately is worried for itself. If somebody dies, it goes to a funeral, a bulb goes to the funeral of another bulb. It's like, oh my God, I'm next. My father's next, my mom's next. And it's like, worried, mortality, disease, transience, there's a general bulb. The reason spiritual teachers who are now enlightened means they are awakened, they have the light, they know that they are not just the bulb, they are using a body and mind, but they are not the body and mind, and the end of the body is not the end of the self. Even if the mind is restrained right now, it can be expanded to infinite potential. Then they have the good news. They already know that this is not a grim scenario. We think it's a grim scenario due to lack of knowledge, self-knowledge known as avidya. So until that time, we can't really be a solace. At least I've been a teacher now for some time, and I don't think any student of mine will tell me that when they were in a crumpled up consciousness, I also dropped. And then we sat and sobbed on each other's shoulder. Instead, I'm able to be a vast sky so that they can come in and then lose themselves in it and realize that they are a vast sky themselves. So until that time, my child, whoever is asking this question, this is clearly carrying somebody's worry is really just more of the false self behavior. And you can say this, I have my own worries, I'm carrying the world's worry. What does it mean? It doesn't mean I'm a bad person or a broken person. It just means I'm ready for self-knowledge. I'm ready for abiding light so that when people have problems, I may not even have to say much. My light will give them hope.
Another student says, in discussing thoughtful meditation versus no thought meditation, Thoughts most of the time are not always positive. How does one command the mind to think good thoughts? Is it as simple as just repeating to oneself what one wants to achieve?
The thoughtful meditation that I briefly took you on an exercise with me, I didn't start my class with that. I had to give a lot of context. I had to transmit to you. When I say transmission, I mean from my soul, I had to talk to your soul. I had to bypass your mind and remind you of your, inner bigness. And then I gave you the thoughts. So the thoughtful meditation will become a deeper and deeper practice as you keep staying engaged with this Vedic self-knowledge, which reminds you of yourself. So thoughtful thoughts are not about good and bad thoughts, because even the good thoughts are ultimately ignorant thoughts. The real thoughts, the enlightening thoughts of your real power, potential, wholeness come from the Upanishads. So you could either replay or rewrite the thoughts that I led you along this meditation and rehear my teachings several times for them to even make sense. Because if you just repeat to yourself, I'm peaceful, after a while somebody will come up to you and say, what are you doing? And you might yell at them, can't you understand? I'm telling myself I'm peaceful. So then it has no meaning. These thoughts are coming from the Upanishads, and they are coming in a bed of knowledge. That is why teaching people to not have thoughts is actually more practical and easy. What I'm teaching is teaching you first about the self and then allowing you to contemplate. Now suppose you heard my teaching, my dear, and apart from that meditation you liked any one sentence, like I'm not a bulb, I'm infinite electric consciousness. You could just meditate on that. Anything that breaks you from this limited consciousness and reminds you of your truth, and you actually feel it, will work for you. But it has to come from a bona fide Vedic text, tradition, and teacher. You can't just make it up. So that's what I would say to you.
And then one last question. How can we view suffering, which is self-inflicted due to wrong decisions taken in the past?
How can we reduce?
How can we view it? She says, how can we view, but I think reducing.
Yeah, well, welcome to the club. Everybody is cosmically sleepwalking and creating a lot of self-created suffering. We have something that we're not happy with. It creates cosmic greed. It leads to grief. It leads to anger. It leads to more attachments, grabby behavior, entitlement, bitterness. Everything happens. And it was all just a virtual storm in a teacup when we could have brought cosmic dignity to it and understood that this whole universe is acting in a very precise and intelligent manner. So therefore, my offering to you is don't bother. Don't bother, giving bed and breakfast to virtual demons. They're only virtual. Right now, none of it has any meaning. So, in psychotherapy, you have to work through your demons. In Vedic spirituality, you just see through them. And they don't have that much, they are of a much lower order of reality. They were created by your imagination. When you wake up from your dream, you may have an intense, terrible, agonizing dream. And you were really agonized. But when you wake up, it takes 30 seconds or less than 30 seconds, and you realize, oh, it's just a dream. In the same way, you can say, oh, it was just something that my, mind that was self-ignorant had created. And it had projected so much power on other people to be good to you or bad to you. That's way too much power you've given away. Now you can bring it all back and say, peace, peace, peace. And let me now lead a life going forward, which is much more conscious. And a conscious life doesn't mean necessarily that you have to work in a not-for-profit, save the trees, speak a voice for gender equality. All that is good. Conscious means you're conscious of your own spiritual bigness, vastness, expanses. And you really come from a deeper place. If you are listening to me for the first time, or if you are a student who's been with me for more than a decade, it doesn't matter. This is what a teacher does. They reassure you again and again. That's why it's a teaching tradition, not a preaching tradition. That's why it's not a quick fix tradition. That is why I've opened what's called as a classroom. for live streaming. It's a classroom. Until I have voice, until I have students to support me, I'd like to keep teaching. You can keep coming back. And these 2 hours that I taught you are packed with original insights from me, my soul, but also from the Vedas. And if you use this, rehear it thanks to technology, you can be in a good place. You also don't want to be like then listening to too many voices, because that's what the bulb does. Let me go here and then here and then here. Give one. It does you whether you come back to me or not doesn't matter. Give one teacher a chance. Let the universe find a teacher for you, and the universe will echo through that teacher to you, if it's your time. But if you are forever window shopping, including in the field of spiritual growth, you as in all of us, not just you, my child, then we will never settle down, and we will always be grazing, always be grazing. But if anything I say is making sense to an inner part of you, because fortunately, this is the good news. You will rescue you. Your mind will save your mind. There is a part of your ego that has forgotten who it is, but it cannot forget who it is. There is a part of you that wants respect because you are respect worthy. There is a part of you that wants abundance because abundance is your birthright. There is a part of you that yearns for health because you remember deep down health is your nature. There is every part of you that seeks love because you're unconditional deep inside. You don't like it when your peace is violated because peace is your nature. You don't like it when you experience death because immortality is your nature. Where is it coming from, this desire to have all these wonderful things? From your own nature. You will help you. You will help you. May you help you, and then may you help the whole world. With this, we are closing today's classroom. I am so happy and so proud that with my students through my wisdom school at Vedika Global and their undying, just deeply loving, unconditional support and seva, selfless service, we are able to come to you. We hope that you will spread the message. We hope you will tell the whole world about the good news, share these classes, help make this knowledge worldwide accessible. I am coming to you with all my infinite power intact, the power of love, the power of hope, and the power of blessings. Thank you.